Alright, so welcome to a new guide on this channel, and this occasion is the PO-32, the TONIC one. Now this is not a review, it's a complete deep dive guide about this device. Everything on this guide is in chapters, so if you look at the description or the timeline, you can jump to a section or skip the ones you don't want. Now, if you like this, please like and subscribe. And if you have the money and you want to buy me a coffee, you can. Everything is on the description. All right, so let's just begin. Now, first, I'm going to give you a brief introduction on how this works behind the scenes, because there are some things that you need to be aware. And then we will go through the whole usage, playing sounds, recording sequences, patterns, and all of that. So essentially, this works like any other PO. Is a sequencer, and you have 16 steps, you have 16 patterns, and you have 16 sounds. So I believe you get the idea. Now, just by tapping the sounds right here, you're going to be able to audition all the 16 sounds that you have available. So every PO is a little bit different from the other ones in terms of how you use it and how you get the sounds and how you get it to work. Now this one uses the software or the engine of Microtonic, is a software VST, and we will talk about that later. So this one uses that engine. So right now you get the 16 sounds and you cannot change them, but using the Microtonic software you can create new sounds and just bring them to this device, which is a very cool thing. Now we are going to be talking and doing this much later on this guide, so don't worry, we're gonna get there later. Now, there are two things that you really need to know is about the voices and the choking. So this device has 4 different channels. As you can see, the layer is a little bit different from the other POs. You have one channel from top to bottom right here. This one is going to be the second channel, third channel, and then fourth channel. And in terms of voices, this can play up to 4 different voices per step. So this means that if I select 4 different sounds, I can layer them, on top of maybe the first step. I can play 4 different sounds on the same step. But there is a catch. You can only play sounds from different channels. And let me give you an example. Right now, I'm going to start, playing some buttons. You just need to watch. We're going to learn how to do this later. I just want you to understand what I'm talking about. So I'm going to go maybe to a pattern. I'm going to select the last one, and I'm going to start with a clear pattern. If I play it, nothing is going on. There's no sound coming out. Right. So what I want to do, I want to stack 4 different sounds on the same step, maybe step number 1. So maybe that's going to be that one. That's the first step. So I'm going to select it. I'm going to record it on the first step. I'm going to go to the next channel, and I'm going to the next channel. And I'm going to select that one. I'm going to record it to the first step. So now we have that kick and that snare playing on the same step, right? Same spot. So we have 2 sounds playing on the same step. One from channel 1, one from channel 2. If I stop it and go to the third channel, I have a different sound. I'm going to assign it to the step number 1. And now we have one from the channel 1, one from the channel 2, and one from the channel 3. So we have 3 sounds playing on the same step. We can't do that. So now we are using 3 voices on the same step. Now, if I go to this one right here, this is a very long sound. So, we can really hear it's long. So once I select it, I'm going to go to record, and now I'm going to assign it to the same step. So if I play it back, we get it. So in conclusion, we can stack up to 4 different voices on the same step. But again, the catch is that the sounds need to belong from, to different channels. If I add a sound right here to the same step that is from a channel that we already used, that sound is going to replace the previous one. So on the 4th channel, this one, we are using, that long sound, that long annoying sound. So what if I add maybe this sound to the same step? So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go right there. This one was selected. I'm going to assign it right there. And if I play it, notice that we don't get the long sound. So this one is replacing this one on this step because we can use up to 4 different voices. We cannot use more. Now, this is one thing that you need to remember, that you have 4 channels and you can play one sound of, a single channel on a single step. Now, the other thing is going to be the choke groups or the choking. So I'm going to clear the pattern so we have nothing, and I'm going to be using that long, annoying sound. I'm going to do right, and I'm going to add it to the step number 1 and the step number 9. This is not important. You just need to watch. I'm going to play it. Right? So it's playing on this step and I'm playing on this step. So if I add a different step, and of course, notice that this sound, it's really long, so the sequence keeps going on, but the sound will extend to other steps, right? Okay. So if I add a sound that belongs to the same channel than this one, the annoying one, these ones are going to choke the other sound. So this is a different sound from the same channel. So this one will choke the long one. I'm going to be doing this, and I'm going to add it here. So this is going to be playing, and right here, this sound is going to choke this one on this step. So if I play it, notice it's choking it. And if I add it right here, every time that we hit this sound, this one is choking the previous one because they belong to the same channel. So this one is just choking the other one. Now, if I do the opposite, if I select a sound from a different channel, this sound will not choke the other one, right? So I'm going to be selecting this sound, I'm going to be doing right, and I'm going to add it to the same spot. And if I play it, notice this channel is not choking this channel. And this is how the choking works with the channels. If you're using a sound from one channel, will not choke the other one. But if you're using two sounds from the same channel, whatever sound it's playing after the other one is going to choke it. Right, since now we know that, and this is out of the way, we are going to be talking about how to use everything. So I'm going to be going right here. So right here, you have the pattern button, all right? So when you hold it, you can see all the way from 1 to 16, you have 16 patterns. So maybe if you want to play the pattern number 1, I'm going to be tapping the number 1. It's going to start, blinking. So this means that this pattern is selected. Once you release and you do play, it's going to play that pattern. Pretty simple and just understandable. Now, if I stop it and I go right there and I play a different pattern, just, whatever, and I play it back, it's just going to play, a different pattern. Pretty simple. So, one thing that you need to know is that while you're playing and you hold it, it's going to tell you that you're standing right here. But if you maybe tap it right there, when this pattern is done, it's going to move on to the next one. And you can just hit play different patterns. Just like that. Right. But for now, I'm just going to go to pattern number 1. I guess that one is just fine. Now, you can change the BPM by tapping the BPM right here. If I tap it, notice that it's going to say techno or tencho, and then it's going to say hip hop, and then it's going to say disco. So techno or tencho is, really fast. Then hip hop is 80. And you can see right there the BPM, how fast it's going. And disco is going to be 120. So you have like 3 different profiles, 140, then 80, and then 120. And this is just by tapping the BPM. Now, this doesn't mean that you cannot change the BPM manually and you cannot fine tune it. So if you go to BPM, you press and hold, you have the A and you have the B knob. So the B knob is going to adjust the tempo. And just like that, and you know what, I'm going to play it. By tapping, holding the BPM, you can fine tune it and then select whatever tempo is that you want. But maybe you just want to adjust it quickly, you can go and just tap it and it's going to do the adjustment for you. So you have like 3 different profiles pretty much. So with the B knob is you're going to be adjusting or fine tuning the tempo. Let me just do the playing. So right there, we're going to go there. So what does the, will the A knob will do? Well, this one is going to be the swing. So if I do something like that, notice that we get the swing. If I go all the way to this side, I'm doing nothing. So we are not doing swing. If I go the other way, it's doing swing. So this one, when you hold the BPM, this one is going to be the swing and this one will adjust the tempo. All right, so sometimes when you buy it and you get it, you just get it to play, it's a little bit too low, it's a little bit too quiet. So what you can do, you will need to go to the BPM, and while you're holding the BPM, you will see that the lights will go on. So this is the volume. If I go right here and I play it back, it's going to be super silent because the volume is on 1, but you can set it up to 4, maybe to 5, 6, 7, or 8. And as you keep going up, it's going to be louder and just louder and louder. I guess for me right there, it's fine. Now, if you're worried about the batteries, this will go off after 5 minutes of inactive playing. Now, if you have it connected to the jacks, it's going to take a little bit more time, but it will go off after 60 minutes, I guess. Now, the LCD, the screen, will stay on, even though it will go into sleep mode. Let's call it sleep mode. It will stay on with just, an icon or maybe, one of the drawings right there, sleeping or something like that. But you don't need to panic. What consumes a lot of, most of the batteries, the playing back and the lights and everything else. The LCD doesn't consume that much. Now, still knowing how much battery you have left, it's super important. So right here, you have the sound, the BPM, you press sound, BPM, and right there at the top is going to tell you how much battery you have left. I'm 96, so I'm good to go. So let's talk about the A and the B. And the A and the B are really important. On each PO, the A and the B are super important because this will change some of the params that you have right here. And it's different for each PO. On this one, the A is going to be the pitch and the B is going to be the morph. So I'm going to go maybe right here. So right there, you have the A, you have the B. If I move the A, you will see a representation of how much you're doing right there on the A and on the B. So if I keep playing it and go down, notice that the pitch is just shifting. And if I go up, it's just changing the pitch. Now the sound number 13 you get from factory is like a bass or something like that. And we can really hear that we are changing the pitch. Right, so this is what the A knob will do. Now the second one is the morph. Now this one, it's going to give you a variation of the same sound. This one has a sound, this one is a variation. Notice that in this one we get more decay, and right here it's just shorter. If I go to maybe a different sound, this one will modify the sound on a different way. And each different sound will do or react differently to the morph. Now, why is that? Now, remember what I told before. This one uses the Microtonic engine, which is a VST software that we are going to be using in a few minutes. Now, each sound can store different variations. And this is like using a macro with a synthesizer, where you just can change some of the params that you get when you create a sound with a synthesizer. Well, this is pretty much the same thing. So let me just give you a more visual example. So right here we have a synthesizer, and it's just a simple synthesizer. And we have some params, the cutoff, the envelopes. We have some params that make the sound of whatever comes out of the synthesizer when we play a note. Now, what happens if I bring a macro? I'm going to go right there, and you don't need to know this software. Yeah, I'm just giving you an example. So right here, let's say that this is the sound that we want, but maybe we want to use a macro to bring some variation and change some of the sounds. So we can map this, and we can just say that whenever I move this one, the cutoff is going to be less, the resonance is going to be less, this one is going to be more, and so on and so on and so on. I'm just doing this randomly so we can, I can show you or give you an example. So let's say that if we go to the PO, when we go all the way to the B, this is going to be this sound, the main sound, let's say, the default sound. But as soon as I move the B to the other side, it's like moving this macro. And since this macro is just tied to different properties, the sound of the synthesizer is going to start shifting because we changed the properties of the synthesizer. So the sound will change. So then again, the morph is like doing that behind the scenes. When the sound was recorded, it was recorded with different properties on that morph. So we are just like using it as a macro to change the sound or the nature of the sound, right? And this is super important because the sound is going to really be shaped into a different thing. Now, if you're wondering, can we modify all of this? Can we do something custom? Yes, you can. You cannot do it from here. When you buy this, you get the sounds that you get from factory, and that's it. But with the Microtonic software, you can go create your own sounds that you have available on the Microtonic software. And once you're ready, you can import the sounds, your custom sounds, to this device. So let's talk about creating patterns, because this is a pattern machine. Let's just use it. Remember, right here, you can select the pattern number 1. Each time that you select the pattern, you're going to be working with, that pattern. Right now, we have something, and this is what you get from factory. Now, what happens if you want to start over again? You want to start with a clear pattern. So right here, you have a button that says accent. You need to hold it and make sure that you're standing on that pattern. If you're selecting something, maybe you have this one and you don't want to delete this one, the pattern will be deleted and you cannot get it back. So make sure always you're standing on the correct pattern. So how can you do it how can you do to delete it? So you hold accent, hold, and then you go to pattern, and that it's going to be clear. And notice it says del right there at the top. Now I'm standing on the pattern number 1. If I play it, there's no playback because it's empty. So we have two main ways of creating patterns: live recording or adding the sounds step by step like a normal, step sequencer. First, we're going to do that, the normal step sequencer, and then I'm going to show you how to do it live. So make sure you're standing on the pattern that you want. If I do play, there's nothing back. And notice that when you go to a right, you will have an icon right there. And you need to always make sure that this one is on or off, because depends on this button, the right. If you have the icon on or off, it's going to change whatever is that you're doing right here. So when you want to start adding sounds to the sequence, you need to select the sound. So right now, we are not on right, not on play. So every time that you select sound, it's a little bit too quiet. Let me just go up. Every time that you play a sound, you're going to be auditioning the sound. But also, what you do is you are making the PO remember that this was the last step or sound that you played. So for example, if I play this one, PO knows that this one was the last one. So when you go right there to right, you turn it on, you are on rec. So now that sound, you can add it on multiple steps. So since that is a kick, let's say it was a kick. Yeah, it was, maybe this one, I'm going to be doing something like that, like a little bit more. This is the sound, the last sound we selected. So now I'm going to be going to rec mode or right mode, and the icon is right there at the top. So I'm going to be adding on this step, this one, and this one. So you just need to press on, the step where we want to add that sound. If I play it, we just get, a 4 in the floor. Pretty simple. If you want to add it, the same sound to other steps, you're just going to be tapping the steps and the sound will be added. Pretty understandable. So I want to add more sounds. So I'm going to go out of the rec mode and we need to repeat the process. Select the sound that you want to add. Maybe I want to add a snare. So that one is selected. It's in memory. I'm going to be doing right. We have the icon and I'm going to be adding this on the 5 and the 13. So we got a kick and a snare, right? All right. If I play it again, notice we are in rec mode. But this light, it's on. So remember the last step we played was the snare, and we added here and here. So if I go out of the rec mode and I go to the kick, which was this one, and I go back to the rec mode, this one will show you where that step is. So you can remove it, or maybe you can just add it, add variations, different steps. I go out, I'm going to be selecting that snare, and right here shows you that it's playing that snare. I'm going to select it, I'm going to go back to right, and I'm just going to maybe add it on different places. Right. You can go out of the rec mode, and that's it. So, okay, so I'm going to clear that pattern, and this is the way you create different patterns. You select the pattern you want to work with, you select the sound, whatever sound that you wish, and then you hold right, you add it to the different steps. Maybe you want a snare, you go out of the rec mode, then that one is selected, you just go to rec mode, you add it right there. Right, so I'm going to be going out, I'm going to be going to this one, and I forgot to add it right there. And then when you go out, you can play the different sounds and you are able to audition the different sounds. So once you select it, you just add it to different places and that's it. So I'm going to make sure again that we are standing on pattern number 1. I'm going to hold the accent and do pattern to clear. And if I play again, that, pattern we just created, it's kaboom, it's gone. So right there, we have again, remember the A and the B, and we can change the pitch and the shape. So every time we record the step, PO will record to that step whatever configuration you had on the A and the B. So let me just give you an example. I'm gonna, I don't know, use this one, the bass sound. Why not? And once you toggle or you move the A and the B, you know you know that you want to the sound that you want to use it. Okay, so I'm gonna be doing right. I'm gonna be adding right here. Now that sound is gonna be played, and we know that. But maybe now on the different steps, you want to change the, some of the params. So, well, you go out of the rec in this case, and you play it again, and you adjust the A and the B. Let me just do it like that, so you can see it on camera. And I'm going to be doing that, and just changing the properties. So once you do so, and you go back in rec mode, whatever you did right here on the A and the B is going to be recorded. Since I changed the A and the B now, and I do it on a different step, that sound is going to change because we changed this. If I repeat the same process and do, something random, and I record it to a different step, every time you change, the A and the B is going to be recorded. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go right there, and I'm going to make everything super short, and I'm going to go up in pitch, and I'm going to record it to this step. And there's that. We just have different variations of the same sound just by doing the A and the B. That's, the plan. Now I'm going to go back to clear the pattern, make sure the pattern number 1. If I play it, we get nothing back. So there's a different way of doing this. It's just, a little bit easier. I'm going to be using that sound. I'm going to do right. So we are rec on, and I'm going to add the same sound to, all the first steps. Right, so we get the same sound all over the place. Right, so let me just stop it first. So with a rec on, notice that right now we have the rec on. What you can do, you can press and hold the step, and you can start shifting, the A and the B, and it's going to modify the params behind the scenes. I'm going to do it right now. Right now we are rec. I'm going to be going something like that. I'm holding the second step and just going to modify the values to something, random. I'm going to do the same thing for this one, just to show you how this works. And I'm going to go there, and I'm going to go there, and just go right there. Now, if I play it back, every sound just changed. Now, remember that I have the rec on right here. Right. Now, I'm going to go right there, and I'm going to be playing this. So you can still do it with the rec on and the play on. So I'm going to go hold it, and I'm going to start changing the params, and that, is just going to work. And I'm going to go there, and I'm going to change it right there. The only difference is that when you're doing this, it's going to be a little bit confusing sometimes because the sequence is still moving, and the params right here, are kind of a shifting. So you need to do, a little bit of a playing and doing a little bit of experimentation. Right, so I'm going to go back again to pattern number 1. I'm going to do accent and pattern to clear the sequence. And we're going to start over because I want to show you how the retrigger works. So out of the right, I'm going to be maybe using that sound. This one sounds cool. I'm going to go back to right. And now I'm going to be adding that sound, right? And if I play it back, we just get it. Now, if I go right there to maybe this step and I hold it, and then I tap the BPM, we are going to be getting something called the retrigger. Now, I'm going to stop it for now because it's just a little bit annoying. I'm going to be press and hold, and then I'm going to be going right here to the BPM. If I press it once, it's going to say T2, and then it's going to say T3, then 4, then 6, then 8, and then go back to 1. So when it says 1, it means that this sound is going to be playing one time. Just trigger 1 once. Now, if I hold it again, and now I'm going to do 2, this one is going to be triggered twice, right? And if I keep going up, just going to be more and more and more. I'm going to do it again. The next one is going to be 4. So this sound is going to be played 4 times or re-triggered 4 times on the same step. And if you keep going up to 6, just going to be a little more, and then it's going to go to 8, just a lot. And once you cycle to the first one, you're back to 1. So remember, we are doing this with the rec on. If we do rec off, we are not able to hold any of the steps. So, that's why we have it on. We hold it, and it's recording whatever it is that we are doing to the step. Right, so let's talk about copy pasting. I'm gonna start with the new pattern. If I play back, I have nothing, and I'm using the pattern number 1. Again, we play back, there's nothing. So sometimes copy pasting steps, it's very important because every time that you add step, it might have a different information, you know, a param on the A and something on the B, and maybe you want to reuse that. So copy pasting is a good tool. So first, I want to add or create a sound, add a sound right here, and then we want to copy paste it. So I'm going to be going maybe to the sound, and I'm going to be changing some of the properties. I'm going to be doing something like that. I'm going to be recording that to step number 1. The rec is on. We add it to the number 1. If I play it back, we just get it on the step number 1. Now, I want to do the same thing, but I want to add it to the 9, and I'm going to go out of the rec mode. Remember, we are right there, but I want to change some of the params, some of the properties. I'm gonna just change and do it something like that. So when I go to rec mode again, I'm gonna be adding this to the 9, and if I play it back, we have one sound with different properties on the A, on the step number 1, and a different sound on the step number 9. We know this. So now we have one sound and a different sound. It's the same sound, but different properties on the A and the B. So what I want to do, I want to go to this step, and I'm going to be pressing and holding. And right here, it's going to say copy, so CPY. Once you do that, it means that it's going to get whatever you did right here. And if I do it right here, it's going to say copy, and notice that the A and the B are changing. So this means that now it's going to remember, or it's going to reuse whatever you did in that step. So if I add something, sound, the same sound on that step, is going to be with the same properties. If I play it back, it's the same sound. So now I can just reuse the first sound on different steps. What if I wanted to recall this one? Well, it's the same idea. I'm going to press and hold it. It's going to recall the A and the B, and now I can use it on different places. Right. So as you can see, the A and the B are really important for us to create, different sounds. Maybe I'm going to be doing something like that. And I'm going to be doing right here, it's going to say copy. So I'm going to be doing it like this. And I know it sounds like crap, but I want to show you something. I'm going somewhere. So what we can do something called motion sequence. On the manual, they call it on a different way, but nowadays we call it this motion sequence. So when we are making use of this, we are in the rec mode. We can record live the A and the B knob, and whatever we do right here in the A and the B is going to be recorded live to the different steps. Now we need to do this while playing. So I'm going to be playing it back. Right now the rec is on. So right here I'm going to go to the right. I'm going to be pressing and holding, and I'm pressing and holding. So now while doing this, I can go to the A and the B, and I'm just going to be adding motion while holding, and I'm going to go to the A and just modulate it, and whatever we did right here is going to be recorded in the sequence. And just like doing that, you can just create really cool sounds with just the same sound. Right. Now, you can do this with the rec off, with the right off. Let me just do this. I'm going to get out of that mode. Now, the only difference is that now you don't know where you're standing. With rec on, you know where the sequence is. If I go rec off, I can still start shifting the different values, and it's gonna do it, right? But the thing is that you don't know where you are. With rec on, you know where you are. Right. So I'm gonna clear the pattern. I'm gonna go out of the rec. I'm gonna hold accent. I'm gonna go to pattern. It's gonna clear the pattern number 1. We are standing on the number 1. And now what I want to do live recording. So far, we've been doing step recording. So you can do it during live. For now, just to make it simpler, I'm just gonna go to this step. I'm gonna go into step recording mode, and I'm gonna be adding a 4 in the floor, because this one will just, let us know what is the beat. So how can we record live? Well, right now it's playing, and we have the rec on, right? So I'm gonna go out of the rec mode. So I'm gonna go with this one. I'm gonna be playing, and remember that you still can audition the different sounds. So when you play it, maybe let's say that while this is going, I want to do I want to do something like this and I want to record it live. So what you need to do, you need to go to right and press and hold. Now make sure that the rec is not on. When the rec is on, it's mean that you're on step recording. Right here, I'm holding. Now we are in live recording. If I do something like, and I release, and there you go. That's live recording. Really simple. You can just go maybe try to find a different sound. Make sure you hold it. And PO is going to quantize whatever you did, and it's just going to add it to the sequence. Let's find a different sound. Why not using that one? Going to hold it. And it's that easy. Now, remember what we discussed at the beginning of the video, that you cannot add more steps, and whatever sound that you add is going to choke the sound that it's already playing on the same channel. So you need to be aware of this. Right, so I'm going to be playing back. Now, sometimes you're going to be performing live or using this as a perform tool. So let's say that I want to select the sound and just, maybe add it to the sequence. Just play it live. So you can, play it live just like that. Now the thing is that sometimes maybe you just don't know what you want to select, so you can do a quiet selection. So let's say that I want to select this sound and add it to the sequence. I cannot just do this live and just trying to find the sound, right? I want that one, or maybe I don't know what I want, but I just want to select it. So what you can do, you can hold the sound and you can select a different sound. So this is what we'll do. It will stand whatever sound that you want to select in memory. So this is the last one that you selected. So PO knows it, but it's not playing it back, right? So we just don't get it. Now, when you do this, the rec mode right there at the top is going to go on. So when I release it, that one was the last one that was selected. So I can maybe add it to the sequence. Now, if you don't want it, you can just remove it, and that would be the end of this. But the main point of all of this is that you're quietly selecting a different sound that you can just add on different steps. So I'm gonna go maybe to a different pattern. Maybe this one, something that sounds a little bit better. Maybe this one. Okay, that one is fine. So with this unit, and it's something that you get with pretty much all the POs, you have an effects section. So you can apply a different effect or, different effects to the sequence. And you have 16 type of effects. I'm going to put them right there on the screen so you can see them. So we have a lot. So if I play this back, what you can do with the rec off, we don't have the rec on. You can press and hold the effects. And when you tap and hold, one of the 1 through 16 is going to be a different effect. So maybe if I wanted to do, it's gonna apply that effect. If I do a different one, right? So again, you just can apply different effects, and it's not recording this to the sequence. Make sure that this one is off. If I do something like that, you can do this live. That's the main purpose. And that one is cool. Right? So you do this while you hold the effects. Now the thing is, what if you wanted to burn whatever effects that you're doing to the sequence? Well, it's the same idea. I'm going to be doing play, but now the right is going to be on. So I'm going to be going to effects, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to hold it, and now I'm just going to be pressing whatever effects I want to record to the sequence. And when I release it, that's going to be recorded to the sequence. And you could just, do some experimentation right here. And it's going to be recording different things. Right. Now, so what if what you just recorded in terms of effects, it sucks and you don't want it? So what the rec on, what you could do is you can just press the effects, hold it until the whole sequence it's done playing, and it will erase everything that you recorded. So all the effects are just a layer at the top of the sounds that you have right here. And then you just can record them back or do something different. And if you don't want this, you just can remove it. And there you go. Right, so I'm going to be going to pattern number 1, and I'm going to hold the accent and do pattern. So we clear the pattern and we have nothing. So what we need to do now, we need to talk about the accent. So this is something that you get on this PO. On every PO, you have a different, different functionality right there on that button. On this one, it's going to be an accent. So there's no play, there's no write, right? So we have none of this enabled. If I play a sound, we can listen to that sound. Now, what I can do, I can just go to accent, hold it, and if I play it now, notice that it's louder. I'm gonna do this one. If I play it, when I release the accent, it's just quiet, right? So there you go. You can do accents. Now the thing is that you can do this live. If I do something like that and I do a 4 in the floor, we can do something like that. And then if we wanted to, without recording, if you wanted to just play it, you can do it live, right? Do the accent or not do the accent. So behind the scenes, the accent, it's doing something else. It's like a channel that sits on top of the sounds. If I'm going to be adding something to the sequence, just to add something, I'm going to go there and maybe something like that. Right, so pretty simple, just a simple pattern. So I'm gonna go off the rec and we are just on play mode. I'm gonna just toggle the play on, the play off. So with the accent, it's like a layer that sits on top. If I hold the accent and we are on the rec mode, I'm gonna go to rec. If I hold the accents, notice that the lights go off. So this is like going to its own mode and it says right there accent. So let's say that I want to add accents to the steps and not to the sounds. So, well, when the rec is on, you're going to be recording the accent to different steps. So if I play it, it's going to be an accent on this one and another accent on this one. So every sound that sits on this step or on this one is going to be, or is going to get the accent. If I play it, maybe I'm going to do it to the snares. So I'm going to go there. I'm going to be adding right there. There we go. Notice this one and this ones are just louder. And it doesn't mean that we are adding an accent to the hi-hats. It's an accent to the step. It's a little bit different. So if you have maybe 4 different sounds right there, all the 4 different sounds will get an accent because what we are doing, we are accentuating that step. Right. If you want to remove the accents because you don't like them, remember we are in step, so we can just go there and remove the accents just like that, and we are just back to normal. Cool. So, okay, so we can solo channels and we can solo sounds. Now, if I play this, we know, and if I go to sound, I know that if I go to this one with the kick that we have right here on the sequence that we just created, we are using one sound of this channel. Then if I believe it's this one, if I go to this one, we know that we are playing a sound from this channel. And then at some point, I believe we are using, and I believe we are using this one. So we are using a sound, the kick from this, the snare from this channel, the hat from this channel, and I'm maybe going to be adding that one. So I'm going to be going there, going to go to right, and just going to be adding this, right there. So now we are playing a sound that belongs to each channel, right? The kick, the snare, the hat, and that, weird sound. So what we can do, we can solo the different sounds, or we can mute channels. So with rec on, I'm going to turn it on. We have the icon right there. I'm going to be playing back. So if I go to sound and I hold it, with play and rec enabled, I can stand on this sound. We know that we have a kick right there. And if I press and hold, it's just going to solo that sound. But to do this, you need to have rec and play enabled. Right. So you're soloing that sound. We know that right here we have a snare. I'm going to play that one. And we just get the snare. We just get the hat on this one if I, hold both. And on this one, we have the weird sound. Right. So what we are doing right now, we are just soloing the sound. Now then we have the other thing, which is muting the channel. So this is a little bit different. So I still need to be on playing. Now with the right off, not on, off, I can go to a sound that belongs to a channel, and we are going to be muting that channel. First, it's going to be we're going to be able to hear that sound. So if I play it, notice that we are not getting the snare because it belongs to this channel. If I go to this one, is the hat. We get everything else, and we just don't get the hat. And if I want to, remove that sound, I'm going to be playing that. and we are muting this channel. Now we can mute different channels at the same time. Let's say I want to mute the kick and the weird sound. We are just getting the snare and we are just getting the hat. So yeah, you can, that's another thing that you can do. So another thing that you can do is just play different patterns. We already talked about this. Let's say that this is the pattern number 1. And if I want to change it or to play a different pattern, I'm going to hold the pattern and I'm just going to tap on a different pattern and it's just going to go and play it. Now, there's something else. What you can do, you can chain patterns. And this is going to stay in memory, so you can use it as a performance tool. That's, the plan. So what you need to do, not while playing, you can go to pattern. And let's say that this is going to be playing this. Let's say that this pattern is the intro of our song. And then at some point, it's going to go maybe to this one. And this one is going to be like the verse, right? And at some time, at some point, after a few bars, this one, the pattern number 3, is going to be the bridge. Let's say, just pretend, all right? So what you can do while you're still holding the pattern, you can go right there and say, okay, so this one is going to be playing first. This one is going to be playing second, and I'm not releasing the pattern, right? And this one is going to be the third. So first it's going to play 16 steps of this, 16 steps of this then, and then it's going to do this. So we are just chaining the patterns. So if I play it, it's 1 of the first, then it's going to go to the next one, and then it's going to go to the next one and loop back, right? So what you can do, instead of having one single loop of each pattern, you can do the same, but you need to tap several times. So let's say that we want 2 rounds of the first, 1 of this, and then 2 of this. So I'm going to say, I'm still holding, never releasing the pattern. I can say 1, 2, then 1 of the second pattern, and then 2 of the second pattern before we go back to the beginning. And when I release it, I play back. We get 1, we get 2. Now we go to 1 of this, then 1, then 2, and then we go back to the first. Now you can chain a lot of different patterns, and you can make a lot of different combinations between whatever patterns that you have right here available. So one of the most important things is to store the different sounds and the different patterns, because you will do a lot of work right here, and if you make a mistake, you will lose it. So you always need to make sure that you store it someplace on your computer or maybe a different device so you can just get it back later. So how can you do this? Well, in this case, you can do it with the microphone, but if this is connected to an interface or something that can record sound, you're not going to miss, right? If you're doing it with the speakers right here at the back and a microphone, you can miss. So that's the problem. So it's always a good idea to store whatever this is going to output in a second with a line. So go right here to your interface. So I'm going to take you to the DAW using Bitwig. Just you can use whatever DAW, it doesn't matter. You have a lot of free DAWs that you can use. And this channel that I have right here is the one I'm using right now to record all of this. If I play it back, this one is listening to whatever comes out of the PO. Now, the thing is that what this will output is an audio, really annoying audio. So when you do this, when you export this, you need to go down in the volume if you're using speakers and this cable. So go down in the volume of the speakers. So we need to set the PO to transfer mode and then record it right here on your DAW. So I'm going to go to this channel. Since this one is listening to the PO, I'm going to set the record. I'm going to go right there. And it's just going to count and it's going to start recording, right? So now on the PO, we need to do right, hold it, and go to sound, and it will start the transfer. And as you can listen, it's a very noisy sound, and it's not very pleasing. So this is going to take like 30 seconds, and what it's doing, it's just exporting the patterns, the pattern information, and the different sounds, the different configuration you have for the different sounds. Once it's done, you're going to be able to retrieve from this audio file whatever is that this is exporting. Now, when it's done, it's going to say end. And then we start the recording. Now, once you have this, you have this stored right here on your DAW or on your computer, you just can save this file as pattern 1 or pattern 2 or just, I don't know, version 1 of the PO, whatever you want to call it. You can store this audio file and later you can play it back and you can set your PO to receive mode and you can listen to whatever you recorded and get the patterns and the sounds back to your device. Okay, so since of course we have the file on our computer, we can play it back and we can recover whatever it is that we recorded right there and record it right here. Now, again, just like we did before, when we do write and we do sound, write and sound, we are going to be doing transferring, which is what we did. But then we can play it back and get back. So on this one, we need to do accent and we need to do sound. When we do this, hopefully you can hear. Do we hear sound? Well, that means that it's awaiting for us to play it back. Now, I'm going to stand it right here because we need to record it with a microphone. And then I'm going to be playing from the speakers, whatever it is that we recorded. And you need to get it close and have the speaker at a good level. If it's too low, it's going to fail. So I'm going to go right here and I'm just going to do the playing back. So when it's done, it's going to say end. Now, if this failed, it's going to tell you failed. It's going to tell you that it failed, and it's going to make a sound like or something like that, just telling you that the transfer failed because maybe the speaker is too quiet, or maybe you just made a sound in between, and it just recorded something that it shouldn't. But if you're getting a good sound, now everything that we just transferred, sounds and patterns are just gonna. It's just gonna work. It's a fantastic little thing. Right, so if you are wondering, can we, import patterns and sounds from different users? Yeah, you can. You need to go to the web and do a little bit of digging. And a lot of users are sharing the patterns and the sounds on, for example, on SoundCloud. This user, for example, has a lot of different sounds and patterns, and it's just sharing whatever is that he did. And if I play it back, it's just sharing the information, so you can grab all this and you're going to get all the sounds and patterns and everything else. Now, remember that when you do this, if he created, he used a lot of the patterns or maybe all the patterns and changed all the sounds, everything on your PO will be changed. So you always need to store safely in your computer whatever is that you had before you import, all of this on your PO, right? That would be the smart thing to do. But yeah, if you go to the web, you will find a lot of examples like this. This user, for example, has a lot of different sounds and patterns that you can just get from him. Okay, so this is the Microtonic. This is the software that you can get, and you can just build your own sounds and then export the sounds to your PO. Now, this is very simple, and you can do a lot more than just getting one sound. So as soon as you open it, this is not going to be a tutorial about this. Maybe if you put down in the comments that you would like for me to create a in-depth tutorial or just guide about this software, you can just let me know in the comments, and I could just create maybe a super in-depth guide about the Microtonic. But this is very straightforward. So right here at the top, you get one sound, you get two sounds. It's just a little bit loud. I'm going to go right there. It's going to be the second sound. We get a third sound, a fourth sound. Now it's too quiet. Now this one is going to be the fifth sound, the sixth sound, a seven, and an 8. So essentially what you get is a kit. Now you do have presets that you can get and just get different kits. Now the idea is that right here, for now I'm just gonna maybe go to that one, why not? So right here when you select the sound, you can just mess with this. Now at the very top, you have this knob right here. So this knob, it's a representation of the A of the B knob that we have right here on the on the tonic, right? So remember, when we have a sound, we just can morph to a different sound, from one sound to the maybe to a different sound. So this is what the morph will do. So if you wanted to do something like this, I'm going to go maybe to the A right there. And this is going to shift by default the sound. So I'm going to go right to the A. So we have maybe this sound. So right here, you get the oscillator, you get the main sound, so you get the noise. So you're going to need to play with this. And again, this is not a tutorial about the Microtonic, but right here, you just can, just move the knobs and just alter the sound and just maybe get a different sound. Let's say I want that one. And you just have different controls, so you can fine-tune whatever sound, right? I'm just giving you a tiny description. Right here, you can choose your oscillator, right? And then once you're ready, and right here you get the noise and the velocity and everything else. So once you're done, what you can do, you can grab whatever sound that you did right here and export it to the PO. Now you also can create a pattern on the software. You don't need to do it on the tonic, you don't need to do it on the device right here. You just can do it here, and you can export the pattern to the tonic. So when I go right here at the top, you have an icon that, you get the icon for the pocket operators. So if I click there, it's just going to ask me, what do you want to do? You want to transfer sound, or you want to transfer sound and patterns? Well, in this case, let's say I want to transfer sound, right? So let's say I want to, again, just transfer that one. So when you go right there, it's going to ask you, it's going to tell you, dude, you need to make, close your PO, just like we did before, press in accent and sound, and it will enter into receive mode, just like we did before. Now, if you're right here in transfer sound, you will need to select which sound you want to transfer. And right here, you get the 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, this is the sound. So it's going to be transferred to, whatever sound that you have right there. So if I do this, the transfer is just going to begin, just going to be a little bit loud, and it's just going to do the transfer to your PO. It's just pretty simple. Now, the other option, since you have a lot of tools right here to create 8 different sounds, is going to ask you, dude, you want to transfer the pattern that you just created, and you can create different ones and store them. And, it's just a software, right? So you get a lot of options right here. But when you do so, it's going to transfer the 8 sounds that you created on the Microtonic, and it also will send the pattern, and you will need to select where you want to put that pattern. And when you're done, we do the same thing, accent and sound, and it's going to receive whatever we are transferring from here. So if I do transfer, it's just gonna, transfer it, and we just need to record it, and it's gonna show you the progression right here. All right? So pretty simple, just like we did before. So if you ask me, the idea of having the Microtonic, the software, it's just a fantastic thing. It takes the the device to a different level, because by default from factory you are stuck with the same sounds. So you cannot, just change them. You're stuck with them. But with this one, you just can create your own sounds, just different sounds, then export it, import it, and do whatever is that you want to do. All right, so that's it. It's pretty much the whole guide. Now, if you would like for me to do a guide on the Microtonic, a deep dive on the Microtonic software, just let me know down in the comments. And yeah, this is a very cool device. Of all the pocket operators, I really like this one, especially because of the Microtonic software. If not, it's just a little bit limited, let's say, because you cannot just really change the factory sounds. But if you pair it with the companion app, the Microtonic, it just takes the device to a different level. So if you liked all of this and you learned something new, remember to like and subscribe. And if you want to buy me a coffee just to say thanks, you can just go to the links at the description, and you have PayPal, you have Patreon. You can be a 1-month patron, why not? And you have the YouTube thanks. So see you on the next one.